There's nothing like a little bit of rust to really set back a project. We recently put together a video on broken bolt extractors, but what about studs as well as strip nuts? We're going to be testing about 20 different products, the cheapest one costing only $10 and the most expensive one costing $263. So the question is the $10 tool just as good as the $263 tool? In the first test, we'll test each tool on badly rounded bolts. In the second test, we'll test each brand until we break either the tool or the bolt. In the final test, we'll test the stud removal tools until the tool or the stud breaks. The least expensive product we'll be testing at only $10.49 is this Effecteer brand universal socket. One size fits most. Hex, hook, cap, and nut. Made in China. The universal socket has 54 individual hardened steel spring pins that retract to the shape of most objects. The tool also comes with this adapter. In the first test, each tool will have a chance to remove a completely rounded bolt. If it's unable to remove the bolt, it'll have a chance to remove a partially rounded bolt. If unable to remove a partially rounded bolt, we'll see if it can remove an undamaged bolt. The fine-threaded grade 5 7/16" bolts were over-tightened to 100 foot-pounds. If a nut or a bolt is in a tight spot, the size of the tool is a huge factor to consider. The bolt is 5/8 of an inch and the diameter of the universal socket is just over 1 inch. The Effecteer universal socket was only able to deliver 4.6 foot-pounds on the mostly rounded bolt. Let's see how it performs on a partially rounded bolt next. The universal socket did a little bit better on the partially stripped bolt at 34.6 foot-pounds. The universal socket actually did great on the undamaged bolt, loosening it at 98.8 foot-pounds. The second least expensive product we'll be testing at only $17.88 is this universal socket, made in China. The tool is adjusted by rotating the casing of the tool clockwise for a smaller size nut, for a larger size nut counterclockwise. The universal socket is actually quite a bit larger at 1.5 inches in diameter compared to the Effecteer brand. An impact socket is quite a bit smaller at just over 1 inch. Just like the Effecteer universal socket, this one struggled on the rounded bolt at only 6.4 foot-pounds. The universal socket only delivered 25.8 on the partially rounded bolt. The universal socket was not able to loosen the undamaged bolt at only 80 foot-pounds. At a price of only $18.99 is this go-to socket. The go-to socket is made in Taiwan. 1.457 inches, a little bit smaller diameter than the universal socket. Instructions for best results. Step 1. Take the go-to socket without a ratchet, place it onto the bolt head, and hand tighten until you can't hand tighten the hex head anymore. Then try wiggling the pocket, turning it left and to the right to see if you can find a position that allows you to tighten the hex head even more. Now take a hammer and tap the socket deeper onto the bolt head. Next, try to hand tighten again. Then use a 14mm wrench and use it to tighten the socket head. Finally, insert your ratchet into the socket and try to turn the bolt head. The go-to socket's 87 inch-pounds was enough to loosen the rounded bolt. Since the go-to socket loosened the rounded bolt, we'll skip the partially rounded and undamaged bolt. The go-to socket did great biting into the rounded bolt. There was only minor wear and tear to the teeth on the go-to socket. At a price of only $19.95 is this Vector Tools Steel Nutcracker Nut Bolt Splitter, made in China. To the right is a bolt that's rotated clockwise to split the nut. The base is adjustable to allow splitting nuts size 7/16 all the way up to 3/4. The nut splitter is going to struggle in tight spots with 1.5 inches of space that's needed from the center of the bolt. The nut splitter really struggled with the grade 8 nut. I applied 110 foot-pounds to the nut splitter's tightening bolt without success. I repositioned the nut splitter to make a second attempt, but the chisel deflected as it pressed into the nut. At $24.95 is this Amartison Impact Bolt Extractor Tool 13-piece bolt nut remover extractor socket tool set. Size 1/4 inch or 8mm all the way up to 3/4 inch or 19mm. I couldn't find any information on where this product is manufactured. The diameter of the extractor tool is very close to the same as the socket, making it a great choice for tight spots or hard to reach areas. If it's in a really tight spot, the hexagonal flats do stick out a little and might get in the way. A new bolt was used before each test. The Amartison did a great job loosening the rounded bolt, which needed 86.5 foot-pounds. I really like the tapered reverse spiral flute design. The tool did a great job biting into the bolt. No visible wear or damage to the tool. At a price of $26.99 is this Luckyway 13-piece nut remover set. The Luckyway nut remover set is made in China. The Luckyway has a slightly smaller diameter than the Amartison at 0.836 inches. The Luckyway held grip at 84.4 to successfully loosen the bolt. Just like the Amartison, the tapered reverse spiral flutes of the Luckyway did a great job biting into the bolt. No visible wear or damage to the tool. At a price of $29.99 is this TENG tool set of nut splitters. Splits nut sizes 5 to 20 millimeters for the smaller splitter and 14 to 27 for the larger tool. Made in Taiwan. The nut splitter is going to struggle in tight spots with 1.5 inches of space that's needed from the center of the bolt. It took 74 foot-pounds to drive the chisel of the nut splitter most of the way through the nut. I'll go ahead and rotate the nut splitter to the opposite side of the nut. Due to the tool size and the design, the splitter wasn't at a very good angle and wasn't able to split the nut. There was quite a bit of damage to the chisel on the nut splitter. At a price of $69.99 is this Rocketsocket 13-piece nut remover set. Proudly made in USA. The Rocketsocket's diameter of .885 without the hexagonal flats makes it a really ideal tool for very tight spots. The Rocketsocket is designed to be used with impact tools. The tapered reverse spiral flutes did a great job gripping and loosening the bolt at 85 foot-pounds. There's no visible wear or damage to the Rocketsocket. At a price of $79.99 is this Gearwrench bolt biter. 15-piece extraction socket set. Lifetime warranty. Removes rusted and rounded fasteners. Works with hand and power tools. 10 times longer impact life. Up to 5 times better gripping force. Made in China. Gearwrench is designed for 1/4 through 3/4 inch. The Gearwrench uses straight flutes and there doesn't appear to be much if any taper. At .942, the diameter is slightly larger than the other socket style extractors. The Gearwrench slipped at only 15.4 foot-pounds, so I'm going to go ahead and use the next size smaller. Without having a taper design, we're going to have to make the Gearwrench fit using a little bit of force. The Gearwrench maintained a good grip loosening the rounded bolt with 94 foot-pounds. Look at the teeth marks on the bolt. No visible damage to the Gearwrench. So why try to remove a nut when you can just split it? At a price of $84.95 is this Mophorn 14-ton hydraulic nut splitter, designed for 14 through 36 millimeter nuts, made in China. With a diameter of 2.5 inches, the Mophorn is definitely not ideal for tight spaces. Close the unloading valve. Sleeve the head hole of the nut splitter into the nut to be broken and set it flat. Press the manual oil pump to push the knife out to the nut. When the knife jacks into 1/3 of the nut, the hand pump must be carefully operated so as not to exert too much force. When the splitting sound of the horn is heard, it means that the nut has been broken. Turn off the unloading valve, return the original position after the splitter, take off the splitter, and finish the work. The nut was torqued to 100 foot-pounds, and after being split, it can easily be moved with pliers. I'll go ahead and rotate the nut 180 degrees and see if we can split the nut again. I have to say I'm very impressed with the nut splitter. This thing did a tremendous job of splitting the nut without doing damage to the threads. There's a little bit of a line where I did get into the threads slightly. Those threads are still in good shape. The Mophorn nut splitter made a really clean cut through the nut and there wasn't any visible damage to the chisel on the tool. At a price of $91.06 is this Irwin and Bolt Extractor set. 1/4 through 3/4 inch. According to the online product description, the Irwin extractor can be used with impact tools. Made in USA with global components. The Irwin lost grip at 61.9 foot-pounds, so I'm going to go ahead and try the next size smaller. The taper design allowed me to use a lot less force than I used to install the Gearwrench extractor. Wow, what a great reminder to wear eye protection while in the shop. I never found the missing chunk of tool, but it's probably embedded in the wall or the ceiling. The tool broke at 57 foot-pounds. I'm definitely not going to blame the Irwin since I probably used too much force and damaged the extractor while installing it on the rounded bolt. The most expensive kit we'll be testing is this Snap-on kit at a price of $263. This Snap-on kit is made in USA with global components. The diameter of the Snap-on and the Irwin is nearly identical. Even the etching looks the same. Both are made in USA of global components. It sure looks like both are made by the same manufacturer. Just like the Irwin, the 5/8 inch Snap-on lost grip and I'll have to use a smaller size. The Snap-on maintained a good grip and loosened the bolt at 82.3 foot-pounds. There was a small amount of wear to the flutes on the Snap-on extractor. 7 out of 12 tools successfully removed the rounded bolt. So up next, we're going to put the extractors to the test by testing them until either the bolt breaks or the extractor. Only successful tools will advance to this round of competition. To make things more interesting, let's spray down the damaged bolts with penetrating oil, testing the go-to socket first. And the go-to socket seemed completely unfazed by the spray lubricant, maintaining a grip and snapping the bolt at 115 foot-pounds. Let's test the Amartison next. I had to give the Amartison a few taps during the test, but it outlasted the Bolt, breaking at 104 foot-pounds. Testing the Luckyway next. The Luckyway lost grip at 44 foot-pounds. A few more light taps with the hammer and the Luckyway did even better at 82 foot-pounds, but lost grip before the Bolt broke. Let's test the Rocketsocket. The Rocketsocket's tapered reverse spiral flutes locked onto the Bolt and never lost grip, snapping the Bolt at 107 foot-pounds. Testing the Gearwrench. Since the Gearwrench doesn't have tapered flutes, it didn't seem to provide as good of a grip as some of the less expensive tools. It did a decent job but lost grip at 99 foot-pounds. Let's see how the $263 Snap-on kit performs next. The Snap-on did a terrific job locking onto the rounded bolt and not letting go. The bolt broke at 108 foot-pounds. We didn't test the Mophorn Nut splitter in this round of competition, but only the Go-To, Amartison, Rocketsocket, and Snap-on were able to gain enough grip to outlast the bolts. Up next, we'll test stud extractors until either the extractor fails or the stud. At a price of $16.99 is this DeWill stud extractor. Easily remove damaged bolt and studs. 6 through 12 millimeter. Universal design, fits all types of fasteners. Made in China. The stud extractor seems to function a lot like a chuck on a drill press. Counterclockwise rotation tightens the tool. The main body of the DeWill is just over 1.5 inches in diameter and tapers down to just over 1 inch. Okay, the DeWill did a great job. It had more strength than the Bolt. For a $16.99 tool, the DeWill did a great job providing enough torque to snap off this bolt. The tool held up very well with no visible damage to the tool. At a price of $19.82 is this ARES Bolt Extractor. 1/4 through 1/2 inch. Self-tightening. Made in Taiwan. Break-free rounded, rusted, and painted over bolts. Other than having a chrome finish, the ARES looks identical to the DeWill stud extractor. And the ARES performed exactly the same as the DeWill, outlasting the stud. No visible wear or damage to the ARES, and it did a great job gripping the bolt. At a price of $19.94 is this Powerbuilt stud remover. 1/4 through 3/4 inch. Grabs onto stud for easier removal. Chrome molybdenum gear for strength and durability. Made in Taiwan. As the tool is rotated counterclockwise, this gear bites into the stud. The Powerbuilt is over 2 inches in diameter and the extractor fastens to the bolt using an offset design which requires a lot more swing space. I finally gave in and removed the adjacent bolt. With the adjacent bolt out of the way, the Powerbuilt won the arm wrestling contest with ease. The Powerbuilt did a terrific job of gaining a grip on the bolt. In fact, it broke the bolt at 99.5 foot-pounds. No visible wear or damage to the gear or the tool. At a price of $23.76 is this Lisle stud remover. Removes studs from engine blocks, exhaust manifolds, cylinder heads, and other applications. The tool range is 3/8 through 3/4 inch. Made in Taiwan. The diameter of the Lisle is the same as the Powerbuilt and looks identical. It seemed to perform very well just like the Powerbuilt, outlasting the Bolt. No visible damage to the gear or other parts of the tool. Costing $33.38 is this Gearwrench stud extractor. Used to remove 1/4 through 3/4 inch studs. Unique off-center gripping wheel sits flush against the flat surface to grip stud at lowest point without damaging threads. Lifetime warranty. Made in USA. I really like the design of this tool with the gear supported with the body of the tool on each side. This tool can be used to turn a bolt clockwise and counterclockwise. The diameter of the Gearwrench is very close to 2 inches. Just like the Powerbuilt and the Lisle, it requires a little bit more swing space than the other tools. The Gearwrench seems to be a little quicker at gaining a firm grip on the bolt compared to the Powerbuilt and the Lisle. The most expensive stud removal set we'll be testing costs $39.19 and is made by ABN. Made in Taiwan. This is a very interesting tool design. It appears to have 3 steel pins as well as 3 steel sleeves. Of all the bolt extractors, the ABN has the smallest diameter and is pretty much the same diameter as an impact socket. The ABN made quick and easy work of the arm wrestling contest, easily snapping the bolt at 105 foot-pounds. No visible wear or damage to the tool. So all of the stud removers performed very well. If the stud that needs removed is in a tight spot, the ABM definitely seems like the best option since it only has a diameter of just over an inch. DeWill and the ARES require about a ½ inch more space. So who hasn't used a set of channel locks for dealing with a stuck nut or a bolt? There's definitely a better way. I'm really impressed with Amartison considering the very affordable price. The Rocketsocket though is definitely the one I would go with if you're willing to spend a few more dollars. Finally, the stud extractor that I like the best is ABN. All my video ideas, including this one, are suggested by viewers. So if you have a video idea, I hope you'll take time to leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching. Please take care and I look forward to next time.